Engagement rate is everywhere in influencer marketing, but most people are using it wrong. A 2% engagement rate might sound strong, but is it actually good? That depends entirely on the platform and the creator's size. On LinkedIn, 2% is elite. On TikTok, it would be like middle of the road. And on YouTube, it would be superior. So without the right context, that number becomes meaningless. And when marketers treat engagement rate like a universal scorecard, that's when budget gets wasted, performance gets misjudged, and creators get picked for the wrong reasons. I'm Josie, and I work on the team at Favicon, a platform built to help brands and agencies make smarter decisions when working with creators. To figure out what actually counts as a good engagement rate, we ran a massive benchmark study, analyzing over 9 million creator accounts across TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. We segmented the data both by platform and creator size, nano to mega, to create the most accurate performance benchmarks in the industry. And here's the surprising part. ChatGPT didn't even get it right. When we asked it for the benchmarks, the numbers were wrong. Why? Because without real-world data, even smart tools fall short. So let's walk through what the data actually says one platform at a time. TikTok's engagement rate tends to be higher on average, but also more volatile. Why? Because the platform is built for virality, not necessarily for loyal communities. So when you post a TikTok, it doesn't automatically show to your followers. It pushes it to the For You page. That means that even small creators can get 100,000 views overnight. And with that, a spike in comments, likes, and shares. So that also means that the engagement is mostly surface level and inconsistent. So if you're calculating engagement rate across the last 5 videos, you might get wildly different numbers when you check. In other words, TikTok's engagement rate isn't just platform dependent, it's algorithm dependent. And that algorithm favors frequency, format, and timing, not necessarily follower loyalty. So when we say that 0.8% puts you in the top 25, that reflects how competitive and unpredictable the platform is. So what is a good engagement rate on TikTok? Let's break it down by follower size based on consistent performance. For nano creators who have under 10K followers, if the engagement rate is above 1.3%, it's already above average. And if it's above 10%, you're looking at top tier performance. But watch for that consistency, because one video with 5% and the others with 0.3%, that's not influence, that's volatility. For micro creators, the average engagement rate is under 0.2%. So if someone consistently hits 0.45% or more, that is excellent and it's worth a closer look. And anything below 0.1% across several posts, of course, might signal a poorly engaged audience. However, for macro creators, the engagement rate naturally drops at this level. A creator hitting 0.3% or higher is already outperforming most of their tier. And if you see above 0.6%, that's very rare and a sign of strong community connection. For mega creators, the TikTok algorithm doesn't show content to every follower. An engagement rate above 0.1 is already pretty solid for this size, but over 1.5% engagement rate is exceptional and could mean organic reach. So the bottom line is, don't overvalue TikTok's engagement spikes. Instead, look at consistency across all posts and judge engagement rate relative to both platform and creator size. There's a lot of light that just came in, so sorry for the difference in lighting. But let's move on to Instagram. Instagram is often seen as the gold standard for influencer marketing, and for a good reason. It's where creators build long-term communities, nurture aesthetics, and drive purchase intent through stories, DMs, and carousel. But Instagram engagement isn't what it used to be. Why? Because Instagram is now very pay to play. As a creator grows, their organic reach drops, especially for feed posts. And unlike TikTok, where content can reach strangers easily, Instagram tends to show posts mostly to followers. That means that engagement rates shrink with scale and vary a lot based on content format. A meme post or a giveaway might receive a lot of likes, but a brand integration or a product demo often lower engagement even if the audience is paying attention. So on Instagram, a low engagement rate doesn't necessarily mean poor performance, especially for larger creators or sponsored content. And that's why context is everything. So what's a good engagement rate on Instagram? Let's look at it by follower tier. For nano creators, if the engagement rate is above 1.12, that's already better than 50% of accounts. And if it's above 3.4%, you're in the top 25 and possibly in a strong niche. Anything over 4% or 5% can be common in tight-knit communities with strong fans. But if a nano creator has an engagement rate under 1%, that's low, even by 2025 standards. And for micro creators, most of them sit below 0.5%. So if the engagement rate is above 1.5%, you're looking at a top tier performer. Even 0.7 is consistently solid, especially if it matches content quality and audience fit. But if their engagement rate is under 0.3% across multiple posts, they may be struggling with reach or relevance. For macro creators, this tier's average engagement rate is well below 0.5%. Anything above 1.5% is considered rare, and it often indicates a strong niche or strong content loyalty. So I wouldn't expect massive numbers here. The performance is more about stability and not virality. And for mega creators, this is where expectation needs to shift. An engagement rate above 0.6% is already high, and only the top 25% of mega creators can touch this. If you're looking at an engagement rate of a mega creator above 1.8%, that is extremely rare and deserves a deeper look. Even 0.2 can be meaningful. Even 0.2 can be meaningful in this range. It's not low, it's contextual. The bottom line for Instagram is that it favors loyalty over reach, but reach shrinks with scale. That's why comparing a 0.5 engagement rate from a mega creator to a 3% engagement rate from a nano creator is apples to oranges. All right, let's move on to YouTube. It's unlike any other platform when it comes to engagement. It's not fast and it's not viral first, but what it does offer is depth, and that changes how we measure performance. When someone engages with a long format YouTube video, it means something. They've likely watched several minutes of your content, maybe 10 minutes, 15, or 20. So even though that the volume of likes and comments might be relatively low, at least compared to TikTok or Instagram, the quality of those interactions are much higher. And here's another big factor. YouTube has fewer engagement triggers. What do I mean? At least for long format content, there's no double tap, there's no pulls, and there's no swipe up reactions. So when someone likes, comments, or subscribes, it's intentional, it's effort. And that's why YouTube's engagement rates are naturally lower, and why a 1% engagement rate on YouTube has so much more value than 5% on TikTok. So what's a good engagement rate on YouTube? According to our 2025 data, here's how it breaks down by follower tier. For nano creators, if the engagement rate is above a 0.27, that's already top 50%. Above 0.8 means that they're in the top 25% and likely performing well in tight communities. And if they constantly hit over 1% of engagement rate, they're probably very well connected with their audience. You won't see 2% anymore because it's very outdated for YouTube. For micro creators, the average engagement rate is under 0.2%. If a creator is hitting 0.6% or more, they're in the top 25, and it's worth looking into. Even 0.3 to 0.5 is strong across several uploads. But if their rate is staying under 0.1%, their reach or their content might not be landing. And for macro creators, typical engagement rate is between 0.1 to 0.5%, meaning that if their engagement rate is above 0.5%, they're in the top 25. So even a 0.3% can be excellent for creators here. Just remember that the consistency is more important than the spikes. For mega creators, anything above a 0.13% is already better than average, while those numbers are really down. A creator hitting over 0.5% means that they're in the top 25% of, which is very rare at this scale. So even a 0.2 can signal a strong performance even on longer format content videos. So don't underestimate the smaller percentages because they all add up to a huge impact. All right, our last platform is LinkedIn. LinkedIn might not be the first platform that comes to mind when you think about creators, but it's become one of the most underestimated spaces for content-driven influence. Here's why. Engagement on LinkedIn is intentional and professional. People don't casually like posts the way they do on TikTok or Instagram. They think twice before engaging because their name, photo, title, job are all attached to every every interaction. So this means that engagement is lower in volume, but higher in signal quality. For example, a single comment could lead to a client DM. A like from a CEO could turn into a speaking opportunity, and a share might carry more weight than 1,000 likes elsewhere. Another important thing to note is that LinkedIn doesn't favor creators equally. Reach is heavily tied to network size, topic, and format. That's why nano and micro creators with smart posting strategies can often outperform big name profiles with massive following. Okay, so what is a good engagement rate for LinkedIn? Here's what the Favicon data shows for 2025. If the engagement rate is above a 1.1%, that already places creators in the top 50%. At 2.4% or more, they're in the top 25%, often posting highly relevant content to a niche audience. So if a creator is getting 2 to 3% consistently, that is excellent for LinkedIn, especially on leadership, hiring, or industry-specific topics. But if their engagement rate is below a 0.5%, they're likely not connecting with their network. Most micro creators, however, hover under a 0.3 engagement rate. So if someone is hitting above 0.7%, they're outperforming the majority. Engagement rates of 1% here are very rare and are usually driven by viral posts or standout expertise. So if a micro creator is stuck under 0.15%, their reach might be inflated or poorly targeted. For macro creators, engagement typically dips under 0.5%. If someone is pulling 0.45 or more, so over that means that they're in the top 25%, likely building real thought leadership. So something like 0.3% or 0.4% is strong if it comes with high quality interaction, but consistency across posts matters more than one-off spikes. And guys, the bar for mega creators is much lower here. Most creators stay under 0.15%. So creators who are performing over a 0.15% engagement rate are outperforming half of their tier. Consistent engagement rate of over 0.3 is excellent here, and it's really quite rare at this size. So even if the engagement rate is low, watch for reshares, saves, and quoted comments, because those things signal deeper influence. My bottom line for LinkedIn is that it's a platform where engagement takes effort, so that those low numbers really have a high impact. So yeah, engagement rate isn't as simple as it looks. It really depends on the platform, the creator's size, and the kind of content that they're sharing. And so now you know why a single number doesn't tell the whole story. So if you're curious to see where your engagement stands, or you want to check out a creator that you like, you can do that easily with the Chrome extension I'm going to include in the link of the description. It's free and it works across all major platforms, and it gives you the full picture instantly. And if you want to dive deeper into the data that we shared today, you can also download our 2025 benchmark report. You can also download our 2025 benchmark report. We packed it with everything we learned from analyzing millions of profiles. It's totally up to you, but if you're working with creators or you want to grow your audience, these tools can really help. That's it for this one. I hope this helps you rethink how you look at engagement rate. And now that you know how important that the context really is, please go ahead and give this video a like and subscribe, especially if you want no fluff breakdowns. And if you end up checking your own engagement rate or looking up a fellow creator that you know, let us know what you find. We'd love to hear it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.